What is up, YouTube? It is your boy NMR Sports here, coming back at you with another video. It has been forever since I uploaded. I think it's been like a month or so. I'm really sorry for that, guys. I don't know. I was just completely burnt out of MLB The Show, and I was kind of waiting for the MLB offseason to start making some more uploads for you guys. So here we are. We are back today with our free agency predictions. This is going to be part 1 of 2, where we talk about the offensive free agents. There's such a big elite free agent class, especially at certain positions, which we'll get into in just a second. And there's an equally as elite pitching free agency that we're going to have to go through as well. So do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that sub button as well, and turn on post notifications so you can be notified when our posts go live. I'll be doing a lot of reactions to free agency signings and trades going on this offseason, which I really think there's going to be a lot of them. There's a lot of contending teams out there. A lot of teams need to get better pitching. A lot of teams need to get better offensively. It's going to be a pretty wild offseason. It could go 1,000 different ways. We really don't know what to expect, so I can't wait. Sorry again about the lack of uploads lately, but we will be getting back on our upload streak pretty shortly, so I appreciate the support. Let's get into these free agency predictions, and we're going to start off with the catcher position. Alright, so we're going to start off with the catcher position, and as you can see, we're starting off with Manny Pena. I would like to go over real quick just how I'm ranking these players. So you got guys like Mike Zunino, who I think is going to stay with the Tampa Bay Rays realistically. If it says club option, it means they're not necessarily a free agent, but yeah, you get the idea. I'm also not going to be ranking these guys like Austin Romine, Sandy Leone, because none of these guys are going to make a big impact, and guys like Kurt Suzuki I think are going to retire. So we're going to be going with the guys who I think would make a big impact on whatever team does end up signing them this offseason. Alright, so starting off with Manny Pena. Manny Pena just screams Tampa Bay Rays to me, and I don't know why. I don't know if that means they would trade Mike Zunino. It just sounds like something the Rays would do. Trade Mike Zunino to another ball club. He's only 31 years old, and he hit, what, like 30-something home runs last year. So definitely going to be a lot of teams fighting for Mike Zunino, and I think the Rays could get a lot back for him. So it seems like a guy that the Rays would want to trade. Maybe they trade him to a team like the Giants that just lost Buster Posey and is looking for a big bat at the catcher position. But overall, I think that the Rays trade Mike Zunino, so it wouldn't make him a free agent. Maybe we do some trade predictions later. But Manny Pena, I think, would be a good signing for the Rays. Probably not going to be that expensive. He has great defense, and he's pretty good offensively as well, and realistically, the casual baseball fan doesn't know who Manny Pena is, so it makes a perfect fit for the Rays, just like the rest of their team, where nobody knows who any of these guys are if they're a casual baseball fan. Now, Yan Gomes, I do have Yan Gomes going to the Giants, because obviously we know about the news Buster Posey just retired, which is absolutely insane, and the Giants are going to be really hurting at that catcher position. I do think it's going to save them quite a bit of money not having him on the payroll, but overall, I think, yeah, Yan Gomes would be a pretty good fit unless they do, like I said, make that trade for Mike Zunino, which I think could be very helpful for them. But Yan Gomes is a nice little backup catcher, nice, solid bat in the lineup. Now we have Wilson Ramos, and I think Wilson Ramos, if he doesn't retire, which I don't think he will, he's 34 years old, which is a little bit old for a catcher, don't get me wrong, but I think the Angels do need another backup catcher. We obviously had Kurt Suzuki last year, and that didn't work out so well, negative .4 WAR. I think Wilson Ramos would be a great fit. He's not fast, obviously. He's kind of like filling that Albert Pujols hole for being the slowest person alive. But overall, I think he'd be a solid backup catcher, making sure Max Stassi gets as many reps as possible, and then Wilson Ramos is a great bat to have off the bench. He was hitting pretty well for the Tigers at the beginning of last year, so wouldn't be a bad fit for us Angels. Obviously, I am an Angels fan, so I think this would be a pretty good fit for us. Yeah, overall, I just really like Wilson Ramos to the Angels. Obviously not as a starter, but as a backup catcher. Now for catcher, take these predictions with a grain of salt. A lot of teams are going to need backup catchers and whatnot. Probably all these guys we're looking at here are going to get signed by a ball club. Roberto Perez, I think, is someone I should probably predict as well. But overall, I'm sure most of these guys will get signed if they don't retire. Guys like Kurt Suzuki, Jeff Mathis, and Steven Vogt, I do expect to retire. But take it with a grain of salt. A lot of teams are going to be looking for some catching help. And now we get over to the first baseman, and of course we got to start it off with the best free agent first baseman, Frederick Freeman. Is there even a doubt? Freddie Freeman to the Braves. It's an absolute lock. This is the most confident I am about any prediction I'm making today. Freddie Freeman to the Braves. It's guaranteed. I can't imagine Freddie Freeman putting on another uniform. It would just look weird. It wouldn't be allowed. I don't know. If he puts on another uniform, I say trade him back to the Braves. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. I don't care. I think he actually takes a hometown discount to stay with the Atlanta Braves. Just because he seems like that kind of guy. He's not going to be out there asking for a $200 million contract. I think he takes a little hometown discount to stay with them. He's 32 years old, so maybe at most I would expect him to get like a 7-year deal, but realistically probably like a 5-year deal to stay with the Braves. Brandon Belt, I have going back to the San Francisco Giants. If I'm the Giants, man, I want as many of the 2021 Giants back as possible, because they had something special going last year. I can't explain it, but the chemistry on that team is ridiculous. That's the kind of team you just want to run it back with. So I think Brandon Belt is one of those guys that I would bring back. Don't know what I would really pay him. He had a pretty good year last year, but obviously he was hurt during the postseason. So I don't really know. I do see him going back to the Giants. There are a lot of teams looking for first baseman as well. But Brandon Belt, I think, is a pretty safe bet to say he goes back to San Francisco. Now, this is kind of a hot take. I have Yuli Gurriel going to the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, the Milwaukee Brewers are one of those teams that I feel like needs to go crazy this offseason. They have a lot of holes offensively. Avisail Garcia is a free agent in the outfield. They don't really have a good first baseman. They do have, Eduardo Escobar is playing a lot of first base for them over there this year. But I just feel like there's so many holes. They could upgrade at literally every position. Even Christian Yelich didn't play that well last year, so realistically, they should be looking to upgrade at every single position in their lineup, and first base is one of those. I think Yuli Gurriel could be a pretty cheap one. He's 38 years old, which is pretty crazy to me. Yeah, I don't know. I think he'd be a good fit for the Brewers, though. He makes a lot of contact. He hits for average. Good on-base guy, which could be really helpful if you sign some big sluggers down the line, which we'll get to in just a minute. I do have some other people going to the Brewers, just because I think they really need to make a strong play for a lot of these guys this offseason. Now, this is another hot take that I have. Anthony Rizzo, there's so many teams that are going to be playing for this guy this offseason. Obviously, the Yankees are going to want him back. Obviously, the Red Sox are really going to make a push for him. But my prediction is that he goes to the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers have infinite amount of money to spend this offseason. They could buy as many players as they want. They're going to be in the market. Whether you like it or not, whether you see the Tigers as contenders or not, they were a good team last year. AJ Hinch is a phenomenal manager, and Anthony Rizzo is a guy that I could see really helping them in the lineup. They're another team that has a lot of room to grow. They could upgrade their outfield. They could upgrade their infield. They're going to be filling a lot of holes this offseason. I think Anthony Rizzo would be a very good fit for them. Provide some very good defense over at first base. And obviously a big left-handed bat in the lineup, which they don't really have a lot of over there in Detroit. I do also see him going to the Astros or the Brewers if the Brewers don't get Yuli Gurriel. Obviously, Gurriel could go to the Astros, and then maybe Rizzo goes to the Brewers. There's a lot of different options for Anthony Rizzo, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of throw a curveball out there and say he goes to the Tigers. Now we have Brad Miller. I think Brad Miller is another guy who's perfect for the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't think he's going to be very pricey. He seems like a kind of guy who will go there to revive his career and become an elite first baseman or second baseman, shortstop, whatever they want him to do. Yeah, just seems like a very good option for that team. Another good left-handed bat to have there. They seem to like guys with very severe splits, which is like Jordan Luplow on their team last year, or Rosarena has pretty big splits. Things like that. Brandon Lau's a little better against righties, so I think Brad Miller would be a very good fit for the Rays, and he just kind of has that Rays vibe to him. Albert Pujols to the Cardinals. I don't need to explain that one. You guys know what I'm talking about. And that's going to do it for first baseman. Let's get into second baseman. Now, second baseman, we're going to lead it off with another very, very hot take, and that is Marcus Semien to the Mariners. I just don't see a better fit for Marcus Semien. It's such a good fit to have him on the Mariners. It is such a good fit. The Mariners need power. They need some stud second base play, and Marcus Semien fits that mold. He's perfect. I really don't see a world where Marcus Semien's not the perfect fit for this team. They do have J.P. Crawford. I don't know which one you would want to play at shortstop. Maybe they could platoon, so Semien at second, J.P. Crawford at short, or vice versa. whichever one has a better arm realistically, and they're going to be looking for a third baseman as well, but I think Marcus Semien would add so much pop. Just think about that lineup that the Mariners rolled out last season. There was nobody in that lineup that you were terrified of outside of like maybe Mitch Haniger, but imagine Marcus Semien in this lineup. He would add a whole level of like terrifyingness, that's a word, I just invented it, to this Mariners lineup. So I think it'd be a very good fit for them. That's one of my most confident predictions. This would be the perfect fit. If he goes anywhere else, it's an L. Leury Garcia, I have him going back to the White Sox. Pretty self-explanatory, postseason hero, absolute stud. I don't know if he gets a big deal anywhere else. Kind of reminds me of Carlos Rodon last offseason, how he went back to the White Sox. Just seems like a White Sox. Donovan Solano, I have going to the Mets. I think he could be a very good platoon option with Robinson Cano coming back. I'm not 100% sure if the Mets are still keeping Cano, if they're releasing him, what's going on with that. But even if it's Jeff McNeil and Donovan Solano playing back and forth, I think Donovan Solano is a very good guy to have in that infield. Now you have Josh Harrison, and Josh Harrison's a guy that I think is going to be appealing to a lot of different teams. I do have him going back to the Pirates just because I have no idea where Josh Harrison's going to go. If I'm being honest, he could go a lot of different places. He started on the Nationals last season. He got traded over to the A's. I don't think the A's re-sign him. I don't think he goes back to the Nationals, but he's kind of a wild card. Any team could use him. He's a very good clubhouse presence. He's a maniac on the base path. Hits for good average. He's a great defender up the middle. So, Josh Harrison, I'm going to say Pirates just because it'd be a cool little homecoming for him. Jed Lowry, he's either going back to the A's or he's retiring. No in-between. Take it to the bank. Now let's start off with the third baseman, and we're going to start off with the Mariners legend, Kyle Seager. Hot take here, Kyle Seager is going to the New York Mets. Now, I think Kyle Seager's going to the Mets. It just makes a lot of sense to me. They need a good left-handed power bat over there on third base. If you think about it, P. Alonso, if they re-sign Javier Baez, James McCann, they just have a lot of righties, and they're losing Michael Conforto unless they re-sign him, but apparently he wants way too much money, so I think Kyle Seager would be a good fit because he does have that left-handed bat in the lineup, and he did hit over 30 home runs last season with pretty solid defense at third, so I think he'd be a pretty good fit for the New York Mets. Chris Bryant, I have going to the Milwaukee Brewers. Like I said, I think the Brewers are going to make a big play to be good this offseason. You remember a few years back when they traded for Yelich, they signed Yasmani Grandal. They signed Mike Moustakas in his prime. They signed all these different guys. I think this is going to be another one of those off seasons for the Brewers with so much money coming off the books. So I have Chris Bryant going over to the Brewers to be their third baseman. Eduardo Escobar, I have actually going over to the Mariners to fill that third base hole we talked about. We already have him getting Marcus Semien. I think Marcus Semien, Eduardo Escobar would make this lineup a lot scarier. You got the two stud righties there with Haniger and Semien, and then Eduardo Escobar's a nice little switch-hitting bat you can put in the middle there. He could take over for Evan White at first base, who has not been amazing. He's been great with the glove, don't get me wrong, but offensively, I'm not a big Evan White supporter, so I think Eduardo Escobar would be a very good fit for the Seattle Mariners. Obviously, their outfield is going to be pretty crowded out there with Julio Rodriguez coming up and everything, so infield seems like a good spot for them to upgrade. Jonathan Villar, I have him going to the Cleveland Guardians, if that's going to be their name. I honestly don't know. He just seems like a good, cheap option. They don't like to spend big in free agency. He just seems like a guy that would end up there just randomly. No other real reason there. It just seems like a guy who would go to Cleveland because they're so cheap. Now we finally get to the biggest position of the day. That is the shortstop position. And think about the teams we got fighting for shortstops right now. You got the Angels, of course, fighting for a shortstop right now. The Astros are going to be fighting for a shortstop. The Dodgers might be fighting for a shortstop. Probably not, though, because they got Trey Turner. The New York Yankees, of course. The New York Mets might be in the mix for one. The Phillies might be in the mix for one. The Mariners might be in the mix for one. You got a lot of teams that are going to be fighting. The Tigers, another one. So a lot of teams that are going to be fighting for this elite shortstop draft class. So let's see what we got. Not draft, free agency class. Carlos Correa, I got going to the Tigers. Like it or not, man, I think the Tigers are going to make some crazy moves this offseason, and Carlos Correa is one of them. You got teams like the Yankees that really want him, and not that the Yankees are ever shy about spending money, but the Tigers have literally infinite cap space. Infinite space before they hit the luxury tax. So I think Carlos Correa, blank check, get him to Detroit. He could be with AJ Hinch again, team up with whoever their first baseman's going to be, and I think they might get some solid outfield help too, just alluding to the future. But yeah, Carlos Correa to the Tigers. Like it or not, Yankees fans, Corey Seager is going to be your new starting shortstop. Just makes too much sense. I know they want good defense out there, and Corey Seager doesn't provide that. It's not like he's terrible defensively. You probably just remember his errors he made in the World Series, or the NLCS, but overall, Corey Seager, good left-handed bat that they don't have a lot of. You got power hitters like Stanton and Judge, but you don't have a good left-handed power bat if Anthony Rizzo leaves, which it seems like he's going to. Corey Seager fits that mold. I think it's the perfect fit for the Yankees. They have so many righties. Corey Seager's the only option I see fitting. Javier Baez, I think, goes back to the New York Mets. I really don't know what the market is for Javier Baez, and I think, what's his name? The owner, you know who I'm talking about, Steve Cohen. I think he's going to re-sign him to be Lindor's best friend and right-hand man up the middle, and that'd be an elite defensive duo, and of course, he was pretty good offensively for the Mets when he was over there after the trade deadline this season, so I think it'd be a good fit. Trevor Story, I have going to the Astros, and I think this is a very hot take. A lot of people, I haven't heard a single person agree with me on this take, but I just see it as a great fit. Assuming Carlos Correa walks, which it sounds like he wants to do, especially after losing another World Series, I think he's going to try to get a fresh scenery. I really don't see him re-signing with the Astros, so Trevor Story I think is a very good fit. It fits the exact mold that Correa left behind, and I honestly think Trevor Story has a higher ceiling. I just don't think he's going to hit that ceiling particularly, but he's a great defender. He's faster than Correa, and he's a very good bat to have in the lineup. So the Astros aren't shy about spending money either. I think they go after Trevor Story. Jose Iglesias back with the Red Sox. Not a huge thing. I'm not going to get too deep into that. Andrelton Simmons to the A's. I really like this pick, actually. He seems like a big, washed-up ball player who used to be elite. Perfect fit for the A's. Now we're going to get over to the outfield, and this is going to be our last position group, so don't forget to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and appreciate again for watching this video. Let's get into the outfield and finish it off here. Mark Canha, another guy I see going to the Tigers. I know you guys are going to be flaming me in the comments because I am so high on the Tigers this offseason. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. Mark Canha on the Tigers, just, oh my God, wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful? He's such a good fit. Mark Canha in left field for the Tigers would be such a good fit. Big power bat in that lineup for them would help them immensely, and he wouldn't be that expensive in my opinion. I know he's the best left fielder on the market, allegedly. But overall, I see him being too good. I see him being too good. It'd be such a good fit for the Tigers, and they have the money to do it. So let's do it. Let's do it. Detroit Tigers, Mark Canha. Match made in heaven. Eddie Rosario, I have him going to the Marlins. I don't know. Eddie Rosario is going to end up with a random team, kind of like Josh Harrison. I don't know if they go to a contender. They're kind of a guy, just like he did this year, where he ends up on a playoff team after the trade deadline. He seems like that kind of guy. So a bad team like the Nationals, the Marlins, the A's, somebody like that's going to sign him, and then he's going to get traded to a playoff contender at the trade deadline. That's my prediction. Exact same thing that happened this year. I don't think he gets a big deal because of his postseason performance. Tommy Pham, I have him going back to the Rays. Kind of a down year last year. I don't know. Seems like a washed-up prospect that could end up in the Rays or the A's. Just kind of the discount bin, I guess, that the Rays and the A's will be shopping for this offseason. So I could see him going back. A little homecoming there. Corey Dickerson, I have him going to the Yankees. Another left-handed power bat off the bench. I think he could be a solid left fielder for the Yankees when they have a spot open. Looks like Brett Gardner might not be coming back, and even if he does, I know Yankees fans hate seeing Brett Gardner in the lineup. I think Corey Dickerson's a very good alternative to Brett Gardner. Of course, a very good left-handed bat. Could be an absolute stud for the Yankees, I feel like, off the bench. So, anyways, seems like a good fit. Starling Marte, I think he's a very good fit for the Cincinnati Reds. They have not had a good center fielder in forever. Billy Hamilton was the last center fielder I can remember for the Reds. So I think Starling Marte would be a very good fit over there. Obviously, they just found out they're losing Nick Castellanos, which we'll get into in just a second, but I think Starling Marte would add a good piece of flavor to that lineup. He could be a good leadoff hitter. They still have a lot of power in there, just not a lot of... not a lot of speed, not a lot of average. So I think Starling Marte would be a great fit. Chris Taylor. I have him going to the Los Angeles Angels, but little asterisk next to this one. as a shortstop, Chris Taylor is the Swiss Army knife of baseball players. He can play literally any position in the field. I think he's never caught a game in his life, but other than that, he can play literally anywhere, and I think that's perfect for the Angels. He can be our starting shortstop. We do have guys in the minor leagues and on our roster like Luis Rengifo that can play shortstop. So when eventually Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, and somebody else, Justin Upton, get hurt, Chris Taylor can take over. Chris Taylor can slide over to third base. Rengifo comes up to short. Perfect. Chris Taylor can slide into center field. Rengifo goes to short. We switch people around. I think he's the perfect fit for the Angels because he can plug up the gaps when eventually these guys get hurt like they do every year. And yeah, it's just too good of a fit. I don't think it'll be super expensive. Angels have been very vocal about spending on pitching this offseason, so I don't think we go after any of the big shortstop free agents like Correa or anybody. But Chris Taylor seems like a very good fit for us. Nick Castellanos, another guy I have going to the Milwaukee Brewers. Do I even have to explain this one? Imagine Christian Yelich and Nick Castellanos batting back-to-back in the lineup, and then Chris Bryant at third base. The Brewers could be so good. They have the best pitching staff in baseball, and they just couldn't hit. We saw it in the postseason. If they could have hit, they would have easily made the World Series, but they couldn't. So they need to get some offense this season, and I think Nick Castellanos is the guy in the outfield for them. Especially if the DH comes to the NL, I think Nick Castellanos' market's going to be even bigger. But we'll see. I think he's a very good fit for the Brewers. Avisail Garcia, I'm going to the Diamondbacks just because I don't know where he fits. And it just, another guy kind of like Josh Harrison we were talking about. He's going to end up on a random team. I don't think he's going to end up on a contender because he just isn't great defensively, and his bat's not good enough, in my opinion, to keep him in the lineup. So, well, not to keep him in the lineup, but not to put him at DH, basically. So, we'll see. Maybe he ends up as the DH for a National League club, something like that. Michael Conforto, I have him going to the Nationals. Obviously, a former top prospect. The Nationals could use another outfielder. Obviously, they have Soto in right, and then center, they've got Victor Robles, I believe. But they don't really have a third outfielder, so I think Michael Conforto could be pretty good for them, but it depends on the price. I don't like anybody giving Michael Conforto $100 million. I don't like it. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but we'll see. I feel like some team's going to be stupid enough to do it, and it might be the Washington Nationals. Cole Calhoun, I have him going to the Rockies, just because I love me some Cole Calhoun, and another guy, kind of a journeyman, just ends up on a lot of rosters. Not going to contend or anything, but Cole Calhoun to the Rockies. Now, Jorge Soler, I have going to the Chicago White Sox. I think he could be a very good DH fit for him, or maybe him and Eloy Jimenez could platoon in the outfield, something like that. But Jorge Soler, I do like going to the White Sox. Can you imagine how scary that would be, having Jorge Soler on the bench when you already got Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and I don't even know who the third outfielder would be, but I think Jorge Soler, in conclusion, will be a very, very good fit for the White Sox. And then we do have one DH, and that would be Nelson Cruz, who I see going to the Oakland A's. Like I said, kind of a retirement home pick here, just like Anderson Simmons is getting up there, not putting too much value up. I think Nelson Cruz could go to the A's and then be a good trade deadline piece when the A's inevitably aren't in contention. Now that is it for my free agency predictions. Let me know what you guys think. Is that a W? Is it an L? Did your team get screwed? Did my team get screwed? What's going on? So I appreciate you guys watching this. Flame me in the comments. I know you guys are going to hate these predictions already. I can already see you typing angry at your keyboard. I can see the smokestacks going off through your head right now. But anyways, I appreciate you guys hanging. Subscribe for more content. I will be doing a pitchers list hopefully tomorrow, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.